And if you want to talk like low, we can because it's very chill vibes. We
Yeah,
can do that.
definitely.
Alrighty, so I'm here with. You can introduce
Becky.
yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Becky.
Yes, and I'm really excited because we're in. Correct me if I'm mistaken. Kendall Indian Hammock Park.
Yes.
I got it right. Cool.
Yes.
And tell us. So we can start there. I think that's really fun. Like maybe some people haven't heard of this park because it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of its own thing.
It really is. I mean, it's a little popular to people who are local to the Kendall area, but even people who live in the area don't really know the intricacies of the space. So there's a lot of hiking trails, and you can really get lost in this park, which is why I love it because it allows you to really disconnect from the city and the traffic and the noise, which I think we all need every once in a while.
You got that.
Yeah.
And I think that's like one of the biggest themes that I've seen on your page is that whole concept of like disconnect and like kind of really finding yourself.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the different things that we can touch about on like, mental health and just really taking care of yourself as a whole is a really good way. So,
Yeah.
um let's start with the setup on the table,
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, I always do self-care picnics for myself after work. So I kind of went for that to a certain extent for our meeting today. So I always have incense and essential oils because I feel like things that have scents are really grounding for the body. If you do grounding techniques, you always focus on the five senses, and smell is one of the ones that I think hits me the most. So I usually have like my incense to set a vibe, my essential oils to help with my meditation, and then oracle cards. If you've never used them, they kind of give guidance. They're similar to tarot but a little different. So this is the animal spirit deck. They're all different animals, and it kind of when you choose a card, there's a book that explains every card in the deck and kind of gives you the energy of that animal and how it connects to you that day.
Yeah, that's really nice. I've definitely had the opportunities to join you in
Mm-hmm.
like some of your events, and I mean, you have a variety of events.
Yes.
So I guess we could start there. For those that, haven't really gone into the wellness scene of Miami, how would you describe your events to people?
So, since I do have a mental health background, I am a therapist and I have a private practice. I really do focus my events on the basis of focusing on self care. So, whatever that may mean is kind of encompasses what I go for in my events. So, that can be from yoga events to sound healing, meditation. I love to do crafting events because I love tactile activities for self care and tapping into your creative side. So, it definitely encompasses different things, but I think the root of most of my events is just self-care and having time to pour into yourself.
That's really nice. So let's say I really want to disconnect like right now at this time.
Hmm.
How do we start this? Like what's the first thing that you would recommend me to do right now on this table?
On this table, so I would definitely go for some essential
Okay.
oils. So I would put like maybe a little some drops on your wrist, maybe just like bring them together, take a few inhales. So connecting with the breath is always very important for me to connect to the space, to the moment, just to be mindful. And then you can go into like a journaling practice, pick a card, see if a theme or something resonates with you at that moment, so you can just kind of dive deeper into some thoughts, into some feelings, and connect in that way.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the essential oils like? What are the scents like?
So these, I have many different blends that I make. So I
Oh
have
wow.
lots of different options, and then I pair them depending on their properties or what
Mhm.
essentially they do for the mind and the body. So this one's a cedar wood rosemary blend, which I love because it's very earthy, it's very grounding. And then tea tree is a little different in the sense that the scent is invigorating. It's less calming than the earthy ones, but I love this because it works as a natural mosquito repellent, which is
Okay.
why I brought it, because it's rainy, it's outdoors, and we may have needed that. So that's kind of why that's there as well.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna try the more earthier one
Yes,
because
yes.
it just sounds so amazing. And
It
then,
does, it does.
if those mosquitoes really come by, then I'll try
Then
the
you
other
can try
one.
the other one. Yeah,
Yes. I'm gonna put this down.
perfect. So you can put just a little on your wrist, and then I usually bring my wrists together, just like this, just to
So we're bringing the wrists together. I'm rubbing them.
Yeah.
And I'm really just getting the scent. Oh wow, it
Yeah.
feels so nice.
Yeah.
It feels so
And then I
nice and real.
usually just close my eyes because that naturally just comes to me when I'm trying to be mindful, trying to connect. And then I just take a few inhales, just allowing you to ground. And I really love that combo of essential oils.
Wow, that is so
It really does
relaxing.
relax the body. Something so
Wow.
simple and it's it's very effective. And what I love about essential oils that you can have this in your purse. It's so
Right.
handy. You can throw it in a purse, you can throw it in your car, and
Okay.
it's a little self-care, coping mechanism that you can have on you all the time.
I love it. I just
Yeah.
feel like, oh my gosh, all the stress has
Yes.
left my body. Like no
I
joke.
know, isn't it? Isn't it such
Yeah.
a simple but very effective tool? Yeah.
Yes. Okay,
So I
okay.
kind of do that to ground, and then I'll choose
Okay.
a card. So you can go by visualizing, like, hey,
Mhm.
this card called to me and I want to choose that. Or sometimes people like to close the eyes and kind of go by like temperature. They tend to feel a little bit of heat maybe on top of the card that they want to
Oh
choose.
wow.
So
Mhm.
sometimes people who are really intuitive or connected maybe feel something
Mhm.
differently. So you can really go by different
Okay.
ways. Yeah.
All
So
right, we'll go with that method of just closing my eyes and see where my hand leads me to pick.
perfect.
Okay. All right, so then I just
You
take
can
one
just
out.
choose your card. Yes.
All right. All
Yeah.
right. I'm gonna show it to the camera.
Oh, I'll show mine as well. I got the hummingbird, and
I
Bala
got the
got
black
the
egg.
black. That's a really cool
Oh,
card.
okay.
Yeah. So then the idea is that
Mhm.
every card has a symbol on top, so it's organized in the book that way, and then you can just search it. So the hummingbird is, let me see, it's an air because it flies, so it's an air
Mhm.
sign. um, so I just look for my hummingbird, and then it gives you just like some affirmations, some information, like
Mhm.
when in balance, that's what it looks like. When out of balance, this is what your energy looks like. So it gives you, some information to go on.
Wow. Okay.
And it's just, a little source of information, maybe
Mhm.
a pick me up, maybe just like some exploration, emotionally. Maybe you feel like you need direction that day, and this could help you.
Yeah.
So I find that it's been a helpful practice for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So
So
this one, what symbol would you
so the
find?
black egg is under the spirit cards, which
Oh.
are special.
Oh
So you
wow.
you got a really good one. So we'll find your black egg. Okay, so we have dragon, we have the golden, and then we have the black egg.
Okay.
So this will give you all the info.
So I'm just gonna take a minute to just read it to myself. And meanwhile, if you're watching at home, you're just meditating because that's
Yeah.
I really love that. It's very like empowering. That's really me. I see that like public activities, really
hmm
going out there, being myself. Wow. And then it continues in the back.
Yeah, the spirit cards usually have a little bit more explanation than the regular animal cards because they are special. So it does give you a little bit more information.
Wow. Okay. And it has a little thing about fifth chakra.
hmm
Yeah. Okay. Especially pure. The balance is important. That's so good. Look, it says for teachers. That's me.
Yeah, there you go. So
Okay,
a lot of the
cool.
times people when they use, the cards, it just connects in a way that you
Wow.
weren't expecting.
I was not expecting
Yeah.
that at all.
So I
Okay.
use them a lot, in my yoga classes and my events because, it just gives people a way to connect, receive a message,
Mhm.
receive some guidance, and for some it even provides them like a little bit of hope if they need,
Yeah.
an uplifting message. It provides that too. So I think it's multifaceted in the way that it helps or can guide people.
Wow. Okay, I love that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
return your book.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. And if
Absolutely.
people want to get like this book, where do you usually buy these books?
So you can search, you can buy oracle cards locally at like metaphysical stores. So like
Mm-hmm.
if you're from Miami, a few options would be Soul to Soul, Five Sisters, Despojitos. There's a few of them that you can
Mm-hmm.
go to that will have cards, but honestly you can also look online.
Right.
Etsy has a lot of smaller businesses where the cards are like hand painted by the
Oh
person,
wow.
so you can find lots of options. And of course Amazon is always an option, but
Yeah.
I'd love to, support small businesses. But if you can't find it in person, you're always welcome to also look on Amazon. They have plenty of options too.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So now that we really set the table, this is the vibe.
Mm-hmm.
We could really enter like some topics within
Okay.
the whole wellness community. I know that you have within your page, you have like a broadcast channel, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken. So if
Yes.
people really want to be up to date with what you're doing,
Yeah.
I know some people may know what a broadcast channel is, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe kind of, we could go in depth and talk about like what
Yeah.
does your broadcast channel look like?
So the broadcast channel, I don't use it as much to promote events, because those
Mm-hmm.
are usually just pinned on my page. So I do every once in a while, I'll post that I have like a few spots left for this one, for this event, but I use it more as a go-to of like daily inspo. So I'll do here's an affirmation for the day. Here's a journaling prompt that you might want to explore. And what's different about the broadcast channel is that it's exclusive to anybody that's joined it. So it's not something that lives on your stories. It's not something that lives on your permanent, well, it does live on your permanent page, but you have to be part of the channel in order to get access to that information. So it kind of makes it, a little exclusive, which is nice.
Yeah, that's like, and so then you have, your whole community in that sense. So
Yes.
how does like what does that look like, your community, to like the people that have gone to your events? What do they
Mhm.
say about your
Mhm.
events? And or in general, like how do they feel about it, like coming out of doing an event with you, just to have an idea.
Yeah, I think most people express that they just feel very calm after my events and just very connected. I think we live in a world that is so stimulating and distracting that, those hours that you're in an event, you're just connected to yourself and to the people around you. So I think two words to describe it would be calming and like connection. I think that's what a lot of people get from them.
Yeah. And I remember like a few of them, like people like love it so much that they're
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, when are you doing the next one?
Yes,
Like there's a
yes,
big like anticipation for it, like,
absolutely.
and then that kind of builds like this very special like following in a way that is
Mm-hmm.
like just unique to your page and
Yeah.
to the whole. I think, Miami has a wellness scene, which we can talk
Absolutely.
about,
Yeah.
but it's very different than the
Mhm.
wellness scene that you have created, in
Mhm.
my opinion, because
Yeah.
what you have created is very like you're becoming, true to yourself, you're disconnecting, and it's less of like, other events that are just like, we're
Yeah.
here to show off, we're
Yeah.
here to do that, and that's just my opinion, I
Yeah.
could be wrong.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I think well, what I'm going for in my events is intimacy with the individuals that are there. It's not about making money. It's not about, how much I'm profiting off of it, which I think is where the wellness scene in Miami maybe falls towards. They're not really thinking about the intimacy and the actual experience of the individual person that's attending.
Hmm.
So obviously profit from the events is always a positive as a facilitator, and the amount of energy and effort that I put into it, obviously that's a pro. But really what I'm going for is the intimacy and creating, safety for individuals to be able to be vulnerable within themselves and to tap into coping mechanisms and maybe do things that they wouldn't in other spaces necessarily feel comfortable tapping into.
Right, right. I agree. I know that you also do yoga
Hmm.
as one of your part of your events.
Yes.
Um, I know you have many hats. I want to
Yeah.
say that you're like very much like you can do everything, I
Hmm.
think.
Hmm.
What is your favorite thing to do, like within all your abilities, because you have many. You've done a lot.
Oh, that's a hard question. I
Yeah.
honestly, I think my answer will be maybe surprising. I like content creation. Out of
Nice.
all of the things that I do, I think that's the thing that I'm most passionate about, because it allows me to tap into my creative side. I've always been very artistic. I've always, painted. I was in photography club. I was in yearbook, so I did a lot of like design and content in that sense. But obviously, as life developed, social media developed, that became such a creative field. And I think that's how I express myself through my videos and my content, and I
Wow.
really love it.
I really love your stories. I
Yeah.
think, funny enough, what I'm gonna say is like they tell a
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
It's more than just like here's a picture. Like you're really like
Mhm.
documenting how
Mhm.
your day is going, but
Yeah.
in a very unique way, in a very relaxing way, I'm gonna
Yeah.
say. And it's like I feel like I'm there when you
Mhm.
take us along this like ride in your stories, and they're really like I see where your passion comes from
Mhm.
in content creation, and that's
Yeah.
very like cool, and
Yeah.
I love that for you.
Yeah. I really enjoy doing it. Just I think it's going for like capturing a feeling is I think what I go for when I'm, shooting content. Um yeah, so I guess that's why like the viewer really connects and feels like they're there, because I'm capturing that feeling.
And as you have this whole journey with the wellness scene that you've created, and continue to expand, how do you want to like connect to that passion that you have of content creation? Like how would you really put them more together? Do you feel like you're
Mhm.
already doing that? Do you
Mhm.
want to keep expanding that? Like how is
Yeah.
that like?
I definitely do think that I'm like at the crossroads of both. I think the way that I would like to expand is possibly like shooting content for maybe other businesses or retreats, which I have already, dabbled in
Oh
shooting for
wow,
other retreats and other events and studios. So right now I do see like the intersection, in the sense that I always
that's
shoot
great.
like my own events and my own like plans and activities that I'm doing. I always already shoot them, and I invested in a camera and all of that. So I think expanding to maybe bigger projects would be a way that I can add to it.
Right, I think I've suggested this to a lot of people of like a podcast of like
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
just a day in a life,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
just a reflection type, or like there's a lot that you can do with wellness, I think, that
Yeah.
can really branch out into that whole content creation that
Yeah.
really makes it very like rewarding for you,
Mhm.
and I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
How is it like for your future events, like that you see, or you a future for yourself
Mhm.
within this community, within your goals?
Yeah.
How's that like?
So I mean, the events are always changing, so that's never necessarily going to be constant. I think right now I'm focusing on an event series, so I'm gonna do like a bunch of them that are going to encompass like a similar theme, and then obviously like collaborations with other companies and businesses. There's some that are coming out soon. I don't know how much I can say about them, but
Right.
I'm definitely like making more connections and more collaborations with other companies. So that's the way that I guess that will evolve.
Right, and it's like continuing to build, because like when you bring someone to your platform, they're also
Mhm.
sharing you to their
Mhm.
platform,
Mhm.
and you're really connecting to a whole new audience that maybe, hey, I've never seen it like
Exactly.
this, and it's like I really
Exactly.
want to do that.
Yeah.
That just goes beyond just the events, like
Yeah.
connects to you as a
Mhm.
creator.
Mhm.
um and that's so cool that you, as you have all of these abilities, all of your many hats, like
Mhm.
you really find it very rewarding. I see that in all your work, and it's
Yeah.
just so empowering for
Yeah.
you. What do you see for the future in Miami, as far as it can be, as just Miami as a whole, or as a scene of wellness? Like how do you see it changing, growing?
That's a hard question, because I don't know that I have a positive response. And that's hard for me, because
I
I
get
always
that.
like to see things from a positive perspective. But unfortunately, with Miami growing at such a rapid pace, I see the wellness industry going into just like a money, like how much money can we make, how many people can we fit, which takes away, I think, from the purpose of doing wellness activities. I also there's a very big gray area with, am I really here to enjoy this, or am I here just to shoot content? And I think that's going to become a very, or has become a very big issue. A
Mhm.
lot of people are just going to these events just to shoot content. They're not really there to do what they're there to do, which is take care of themselves, self care, coping with life and its stressors, which is what
Yeah.
these events are made to help us with. So I think because of the growth of the industry at such a rapid pace, and it does, make money on that scale, unfortunately I feel like that's the root of a lot of where it's going to go.
Yeah, and it's good. I think it like my page is like, even though it's like exploring Miami, I don't necessarily like put the tag that Miami's perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
I think Miami, like you said, is the perfect way of saying it. It's
Mhm.
changing really fast. When I
Mhm.
grew up here in Miami, it's one Miami, and now
Yeah.
it's like a whole nother
Yeah.
thing. And
Absolutely.
there's many factors, many layers.
Mhm.
And I think us locals, we really need to stick together
Yeah. Yeah, for
because it's
sure.
changing. It's
For
changing
sure.
really fast, and
Yeah.
I personally, for myself, I don't see myself leaving,
Mhm.
but I do see a lot of my friends, a lot of other
Yeah.
locals leaving for many reasons.
Yeah.
But also like keeping that centerness and just the consistency within yourself as a creator, your
Mhm.
events,
Mhm.
and the people you collaborate with
Mhm.
continues to keep that community that
Absolutely.
is just so important
Yeah.
to maintain and have,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why, I also have to be very careful with who I collaborate with, because I think that's another I guess struggle that comes in, is that you meet a lot of people who are inauthentic, and you have to have really good intuition when working with
Wow.
others. You have to follow your gut. You have to follow, certain like intuitive feelings that I think come up when you are maybe making like a business connection or a possible collaboration. And as an entrepreneur, it's hard to say no to opportunities that you think may be really good for you, but it just doesn't feel right. There's something about it. The energy is off. You have to be able to take a step away, which is a hard balance to have.
Right. And in it of itself, like, you never know. You never know.
Mhm.
And it's just really trusting that gut and the people around you who've always been there for
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
to really support you. Because, it's interesting. This episode, it seems like it will be only about wellness, but you're really giving some really key advice to
Mhm.
business owners who
Mhm.
are entering those fields and really just trying, like, being
Yeah.
vulnerable and
Yeah.
like trusting people is a big
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Those are big
Absolutely.
advices that you like,
Absolutely.
big
Yeah.
takeaways.
And
Yeah.
that's a hard balance to have, is being authentic while also protecting yourself,
Mhm.
because I love to just, be very accepting of people, be very trustworthy, but in order to protect yourself from people who may not have great intentions, you also have to tap into that intuition. So it's a very hard balance to keep. And I definitely have my faults, in the sense that sometimes things, don't work out the way that they're supposed to, or
Right.
things don't go the way that I anticipated, and I always have to ground myself in coming back to my boundaries and my
Right.
authenticity and my intuition, and that always helps me.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah.
Um, what else could you, share to the community, to your community, to the people watching, to watch my channel? What other advice, any
Hmm.
words of wisdom,
Honestly, just the importance of taking care of yourself,
Mhm.
no matter what it is that you do, for work, or with your time. I think just the way life is, the environment that we live in, it's a lot, and we don't, because we've gotten used to it, we don't understand the burden that our
Mhm.
daily stress takes on us. So I think that's why I'm just so passionate with like taking time for yourself,
Right.
and not thinking that like your job or your career is really like the only important priority that you have on a day to day. It's like your 9 to 5 is important, but what are you doing in the 5 to 9? I say that all the time, because that 5 to 9 is the most important time of your life. That's what you're doing that brings you joy. That's what you're doing that's taking care of yourself. That's your social, your social life. How are you,
Hmm.
spending time with family? So, the balance and just taking care of yourself is so important. And that seems very cliche and very simple, but it's truly the foundation of how you're going to feel every single day, your emotional health, your well-being, all of those things.
Yeah, no, that's super important. The
Hmm.
balance is literally so important because then you burn yourself out in whatever
Yeah.
you're doing, and then you're
Yeah.
not giving it 100% to
Yeah.
yourself or to your career or to whatever you have
Hmm.
going, you know?
Hmm.
And that's really good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
You're
you.
very wise.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask you about your background so you can
Hmm.
really go in depth in that.
So I went to school for mental health therapy. I did my bachelor's in psychology at FIU, and then I did my master's also at FIU in professional counseling. So I have a background in mental health, and that was a really that was a struggle to get to where I'm at. Owning a private practice and really honing in on the type of therapy that I provide for my clients, because it's a process. I had to intern at a community mental health center, which is, you know its own stressors. You're very structured, what society says you have to be as a therapist, what the system says you have to be as a therapist. And I really wanted to break out of that, because I didn't feel authentic in that role. I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel like I was helping people in the way that came naturally to
Mhm.
me, which for me, natural connections is what helps my clients so much. um Personal, like, relationships and connection, and just being able to be human with each other, I think, is what really helps my clients to reach certain goals that maybe they haven't been able to reach in other therapy relationships. And I definitely do have more of a holistic background, in the sense of, I know holistic is like a big umbrella term, and
Right, right,
and
right.
it has maybe like some negative connotations for a lot of people, or they don't take it seriously, which I completely get. That's also very
Mhm.
valid. But essentially, holistic is that we focus a lot on the roots of your mental health struggles, not just having a venting session, which is important sometimes,
Mhm.
but hey, why are these struggles happening? What are the
Right.
roots of them? What are the core beliefs? What is the shadow work? What is some of the negative self-talk that has been really driving you down your entire life? So we go through a very intense process, but a very helpful process when it comes to therapy. And so I think the approach is different. It's a lot more personable, but I
Right.
think that's what creates such a healthy, safe, vulnerable relationship with me and my clients.
Wow. And I remembered from the events I've been that some of your clients have
Mhm.
attend and
Mhm.
they just love you as a therapist. They're
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
and it's so genuine, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it's like I
Mhm.
see your connections to the
Yeah.
community,
Yeah.
and but also genuinely you're providing the service as a therapist in a very unique
Absolutely.
way. And it connects
Absolutely.
to you, and that's
Yeah.
what's important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's also another a role that's hard to balance sometimes, because obviously, like, as a therapist, you have to maintain a very professional relationship with your clients. And so when they're like attending events or attending my yoga class, that for a lot of therapists can be a very hard boundary to maintain. But that's something that I obviously take very seriously, when it comes to my clients, because I understand that the professionalism is important, but I understand how community is important as well. So the fact that these events and coming to yoga in a safe space could be very helpful for them is why I encourage it. But there's also the professionalism boundary that is always maintained with them as well. So
Right.
that's a role that maybe a lot of therapists wouldn't be comfortable having, but it's something that I think comes very naturally to me, and I've been able to do it.
Wow, that's so empowering
Yeah.
that you have that like good balance in your career, and that you
Mm-hmm.
not only is just your career, it's like your life,
Yeah.
like you're really living the dream,
Yeah.
and I love that for you.
So,
Yeah, we
yeah.
touched on a lot. It feels like the time went by
Flew. Yeah.
so
I don't even
fast,
know how long it was, but it
right?
was fun.
Oh, we could do some little closing remarks, like so
Okay.
people can know like where to find you,
Yes.
and
Yes.
any shout outs that you want to give as you support local
Yeah.
businesses, which is great.
Of course. Of
So
course.
you go for it. This is the
Um,
end
the
and
end.
end part. You go.
Yeah. So my main point of contact is my Instagram. So Balance with Becky is my Instagram, and there you can find the link to like my weekly yoga class, which I do teach at Open Door Yoga in Coconut Grove. So that's my weekly class that I always, teach on Fridays. You can find that link. You can find a link to my website where you can apply for therapy, or if that's something that you're interested in, you can kind of get my information, my background, and we can chat, through there as well. Um, Also, any events that I have upcoming are always pinned on my Instagram as well, so there you can find them, up close and personal. And yeah, that's really my main point of contact.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. And I am so thankful. Thank you so much for doing
Yes.
this. The setup is amazing. I feel so relaxed.
Yeah.
I feel so like at peace, and it's peaceful. Like even though we thought it was gonna rain, like now
Yeah.
it's like so
It really
nice and
worked out.
quiet
It
and
is.
perfect.
Yeah.
So thank you again,
Of
and I'm
course.
so
Thank
excited to see
you.
how this comes out. And when I edit it, I'll send you a Google Drive and all that stuff. So thank you.
Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you, Paula.
No, no, thank you.